Today, I would like to discuss what I would like to call the Adelson Effect. And for you anyone who's been following the Adelson case, the Dan Markel tragic murder, Professor Dan Markel, and basically knows the story. This case has been going on for years and years and years. And there's been a number of convictions. And now most recently has been Charlie Adelson. And now Donna Adelson is standing trial very soon. And then who knows, after her, maybe Harvey Adelson, maybe Wendy Adelson. We'll see as it continues to play out. But this has been going on for years. And it's very polarizing. A lot of people have been following it. And a lot of people have been getting very, very involved in this case. And truth be told, as most of you know, I started this channel less than a year ago. This is, I believe, my 82nd video that I'm putting out. So I started it right around the time that Charlie Adelson's trial was going on. And that was one of the trials that I analyzed, and I posted some videos on it. And of course, you get certain comments, you get certain feedback from your videos, and some private emails, some in the comment section. And many people have been very supportive, have been very encouraging, and of course I appreciate that all. And of course, anytime you're posting in public, some people are going to be very supportive and other people are going to be not so supportive. And they're going to be saying that I don't belong doing this at all. All right, so that could be expected, right? You're never going to make everybody happy all the time. There's always going to be some people that are unhappy. So I just assumed that the type of feedback that I get after posting on an Adelson trial, which is one of my first trials that I analyzed, that was going to be representative of all the future feedback that I get from any future trials that I analyze. And I analyzed a bunch over the past number of months that I've been doing this. I've analyzed the Mellie trial, Alex Murdaugh trial, the Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, Karen Reed, Meghan Markle, the James and Jennifer Crumbley, to name a few, Michelle Troconis. So these were a number of different trials that I analyzed, and I assumed that whatever trial I'm going to analyze, you're going to get some good, some bad, and it's kind of going to be representative of the type of feedback that I got in the Adelson case. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong because it's completely different. The feedback that you get after posting on an Adelson trial, Adelson issue, anything that's going on with the Dan Markel trial is completely different. It's just a whole different animal. And it brings us to what I've learned is called the Adelson Effect. And we're going to be explaining a little bit more about that. But first, I want to take you through some of the comments that I've gotten. Of course, all of the encouraging comments I'm not going to go through. Nobody wants to hear all the good stuff. They want to hear the bad stuff, right? So we're going to go through some of the bad stuff today. And you'll also see that I did engage with some of these commenters and commentators, and I did try to have a dialogue with them. And you'll see how that went. So let's go through some of the comments, and then that will bring us really to the conclusion of what this Adelson Effect is. All right, so let's start. Brother Counsel, you are blind if you think Donna is innocent in all of this. Now, that's something I never said. I never said I think Donna's innocent. The only thing that I possibly may have done was show what possible arguments could be made on her behalf, stepping into the defense attorney's shoes. But here someone says, you are blind if you think Donna is innocent in all this. Next, are you in love with Wendy too? Hey, Rabbi, you're not sleeping with Wendy, are you? Next, I think you are naive or compromised. Next, I hope Ruth Markel never had to listen to your support of the Adelsons. You have no soul. And this was an interesting comment because I've actually gotten some private emails from some people that are close with the Markel family and who have been very encouraging and have been saying that they really appreciate the objective analysis and they don't feel that many channels are objective analyzing this case, and they feel that that is what Professor Dan Markel stood for showing all arguments on both sides, giving the defendant a fair chance, and standing up for his rights, things like that. So they've been actually a number of emails from that were very supportive from people from the Markel family. But this person felt that I have no soul. All right, let's continue. Are you under Wendy's notorious charm? Nothing else could explain this. Next, this attorney doesn't seem impartial, like a Wendy mouthpiece. He definitely is skewed pro-Wendy. In my humble opinion, would appreciate if this podcaster would admit up front he is a Wendy representative. And then finally, I said, you know what, let me try to engage with these people, and maybe they have a point. Maybe I'm mixing up something. Maybe they can make some good arguments. Maybe I have some facts wrong. So here we go. Either you're terribly biased or you don't know the case. To which I responded, I'll be happy to review the case, Please share what facts or evidence of the case you feel I got wrong that I need to review. All right, I just want to know what am I getting wrong? Just educate me, tell me. Well, no response to that comment. Next, it's clear you don't know the facts of the case. So I responded, thanks for watching. Can you please tell me which facts I have wrong? To which I got no response. All right, let's continue. And by the way, they keep getting better, so don't worry. I really can't watch any more podcasts from someone who hasn't watched all the interviews, testimonies in court, etc. I have watched all of the Charlie trials and most of the Hitman trials and most of the Katie trials. I just can't get anyone's input when they have not done their homework. Makes you really wonder why Brother Counsel is doing these podcasts at all. So I responded, can you please educate me as to what facts I got wrong? No response. All right, let's continue. There are so many errors and misinterpretations in here that it's not worth anyone's time to spell it out for you. There's probably 80 hours of material to go through to understand the complexities here. In the meantime, you can shoot from the hip with a casual knowledge, but you just come off like someone paid by Wendy Adelson's defense team. And now listen to this. Also, I noticed that when someone makes a series of good points in a comment, you just ignore it anyway, which looks suspiciously like you've got an agenda. So, what better person to respond than ask for clarification? Tell me what I have wrong. So I did. I wrote, hi. I asked a bunch of people who left comments for facts or evidence to help correct some of my suggestions and possibilities. I am all ears. Usually what is said is the same facts that I discussed and acknowledged that could lead to the conclusion of a possibility that the plan was to set up Jeff. This was specifically in the video where I discussed whether the actual plan was to set up Jeff or not, which, of course, I did acknowledge that some facts point to that, but there's also arguments to be made the other way, but people didn't like that. So I said, I discussed and acknowledged that could lead to the conclusion of a possibility that the plan was to set up Jeff, yet not necessarily overly convincing. I am open-minded and always willing to take a better look at things I may have overlooked. I do not have any agenda other than to provide objective trial analysis. So please, do share what facts or evidence I am overlooking. Thanks. And I got no response. So this is the person that said I have so many errors. There's so many errors and misinterpretations in here. There's so many. And then when I asked for one, no response. Okay, let's continue. You lack an understanding of the intricate dynamics between Wendy and her BFF, Jane. I implore you to conduct more thorough research prior to producing videos. As your current content, this is one of my favorite lines. I love this line. As your current content exhibits a pronounced level of incompetence, it is imperative to recognize that Jane played a pivotal role in introducing Jeff to Wendy. Before the unfortunate incident, Wendy engaged in an extensive conversation with Jane, disclosing that Jeff exhibited possessive tendencies. Wendy subtly provided Jane with indications of Jeff's fixation, implying that Jane in turn would likely point towards Jeff when investigating the perpetrator behind Dan's murder. Remarkably, even to this day, Jane staunchly supports Wendy, maintaining her complete innocence and professing ignorance regarding the identity of the potential assailant. So here's somebody who is saying that my current content exhibits a pronounced level of incompetence. So this was my response. Thank you for taking the time to watch and comment. I did mention this precise point in the video, and that this is one factor that points to the possibility that Jeff was supposed to be the fall man. I also made some other points which you chose to ignore. As a lawyer who debates issues quite often, I do not see a need to insult my opposition's level of competence, even if I do not agree with them. Perhaps, if you can provide other facts or evidence, which I did not cover in the video, it can help me reform my suggestions. Thanks again. And I got no response. So I'm just begging people. I'm saying, please help me. I'm so incompetent. Can you just please help me with some of the facts that obviously I've so wrong? But again, all right, continuing. If you're an attorney and put out opinions on an ongoing case, my wish would be that you first try to do your due diligence. There are already so many channels that cover this case. channels that have all the facts of the case. Not much worse than all the other channels. They have all the facts. Please put more time into researching the facts of the case before the next video. It would be interesting to listen to your legal opinions, but not when you don't have the facts of the case. So this was my response. Thank you so much for watching and your well thought out comment. Please tell me which facts point unquestionably to the conclusion that Wendy set up Jeff that I did not cover. So all these other channels have all the facts. So which facts did I not cover that I acknowledged do point to that conclusion? I just made arguments that they don't necessarily mean that. There's arguments to be made. So which facts do all the other channels, that they all have it right, which facts did I not mention that I don't have? And, of course, I got no answer. All right. And this final one, this final comment really, really takes the cake. This is just a wonderful comment. One of my favorite ones. I should really post this up in my office and always just remember it. All right. Brother Counsel, you've been corrected on this point repeatedly. This is what Rashbaum said, not what actually happened. Videos like this started appearing after Charlie Adelson was convicted. High net worth individuals facing a PR crisis will pay substantial fees to mid-level social media personalities to try and influence the public. You see, I am a mid-level social media personality. All right. They will raise questions that no one is asking, claim to be objective, or just having a conversation, say they don't have an agenda. Usually they will say they don't like Wendy Adelson or think she may be involved, but nonetheless try to cast doubt on specific witnesses. They will also raise irrelevant points. What legal significance does it have that Wendy Adelson gave Jeffrey Lacoste a false impression of Daniel Markel, or whether the hit job was $15,000 or $50,000? The narrative that is given here is derived from Rashbaum's claims, some of which were proven false at trial and corrected by commentators, but there will be no correction or modification of the message. See Sergeant Hale's testimony at the trial, or even Jeffrey Lacoste's full testimony, or just ask people who have followed the case closely and are incredulous at the silly arguments being raised here. It should be embarrassing to be publicly wrong about so many things. So ask yourself, why an attorney would leave a video up with obvious errors? I am not saying this guy was paid, meaning me. I do not know that he was, meaning a number of other comments said that I must be hired by the Wendy Adelson, or the whole Adelson family to put out this stuff. I'm not saying this guy was paid. I do not know that he was. But in my opinion, these videos have all the hallmarks of a coordinated PR effort. And that when those take place, NDAs are signed. NDAs meaning non-disclosure agreements, which means that I cannot tell you that I was hired by the Adelsons. Another obvious sign that there's an agenda here would be the amount of time that brother spends in the comments section making defensive comments, but never correcting obvious mistakes that are pointed out. So I spend so much time in the comments section, but I never correct any of the obvious mistakes. So obviously I have an agenda. Of course, a slew of supportive commentators appear. Those are also easily purchased. So I purchased all the positive comments, and I just spend so much time responding to all the negative ones, but I never correct my obvious mistakes. So if you follow the case and find this video confusing or misguided, consider that it's possible that there's a reason. Wendy Adelson ended her interview by telling TPD what a great suspect Jeffrey Lacoste was. The DA argued in all three trials that there was a frame-up attempt. If you follow the case and are confused by this video, consider that it might not be objective analysis at all. In the Murdoch and Depp cases, there were efforts to influence the public via social media. Do we expect that this defense team just decided to skip the usual PR strategy? Well, maybe this guy isn't part of that strategy, but if not, who is? And why does this video look so much like the exact PR strategy you'd expect from the family's defense team? So you can understand why this comment absolutely takes the cake. All right, so let me tell you what I responded. I'm not going to say the whole response because some of it's boring, but let's get to the second point. To your second point, that I obviously have an agenda because I never corrected my obvious mistakes or errors, and that I have been publicly wrong about so many things. I have asked almost everyone who has made that claim, including you, what those mistakes are, and that is usually where the conversation goes silent. You yourself only mentioned the mistake I made when saying that Jeff only mentioned the 15,000 or 50,000 in his third interview, which you are clearly wrong on, right? We all remember he only mentioned 15,000 or 50,000 in the third interview, not the first two. So if that's what my mistake is, it's not a mistake. So I beg of you, please let me know with specificity which other obvious mistakes I made in my video, and I would be happy to put out a video acknowledging those mistakes, correcting them, and even thanking you. So here again, I'm begging this person. I've made so many obvious mistakes, and it should be so embarrassing that I do that in public. Said I'm asking him, please let me know what mistake. Point to one. And of course, there's no response. So what do we see? What are we learning? What have I learned from covering the Adelson and trying to engage with some of the people that are very negative against my commentary, against my objective analysis? What have I learned? What I've learned is, to borrow a term from Jeffrey Lacasse, is that there's many people that are unhealthily, emotionally enmeshed in this case. And apparently they've been following this case, and there's been a number of channels, which again, I'm not pointing at any specific channel, but apparently there's been a number of other channels that they've been following that have only been representing the facts one way. And they don't even bother to say what possible arguments could be made the other way. So it seems to me that this is the first time since I strolled onto the scene a couple months ago where they're actually hearing objective analysis and they don't know what to do with themselves. How is it possible? We've been following this case for years. We've never been hearing any type of analysis like this. So they draw the conclusion, well, some people have been very welcoming and they've been, oh, wow, this is great. I'm so happy to get some objective analysis here. I'm so happy for it. And the other people that are very enmeshed in this case emotionally, and they're hearing things that they've never heard before, they said, it has to be that I have the facts wrong. It has to be that way. What other possibility is there? They already made up their minds. They've been listening to, I guess, some other channels that analyze this case and are only bent on one side. So it has to be that I have the facts wrong. But then when I push them and I say, okay, so what facts do I have wrong? Tell me, what fact did I say wrong in my video? Or what fact did I not mention that if I would have mentioned that fact, it would have changed the whole argument? Nobody says anything. So this is what is called the Adelson Effect. And for some reason, now, of course, I'm sure in every trial there's some people that are very emotionally involved, but for some reason we're finding it much more in the Adelson case that people just completely have lost their objectivity in this case. And they can't even hear objectivity in this case. And when they hear it, they can't handle it. So this is what I refer to as the Adelson Effect. And we're still going to have a few more years of it. So there was actually one person who was so upset by what I said. And you can go through some of my videos and see if anything that I said is so upsetting. All I do is present arguments to be made on both sides. That's all I do. I analyze the facts, analyze the law, talk about the rules of evidence, and then I present arguments on both sides. But somebody was so upset that they actually called for the boycott of my channel. They asked for me to be canceled. They asked for everyone to unsubscribe in all caps, because my analysis here is so offensive. So that is what I've experienced so far. It's been a wonderful journey so far. It's been exciting. It's been fun. And this is what I would call, specifically for the Adelson case, the Adelson Effect. All right, well, that'll be it for today. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, and we will see you next time.